Greetings, comic book people. Today we're going to be talking about the most recent Batman Omnibus release, The Rise and Fall of the Batman by James Tynion. So this is a really cool run. I'm going to do a table side and an explanation of what the stories contained are in this omnibus. But I'm also going to explain a little bit of some of the back reading that goes well with understanding the omnibus. So before we get into this a little bit, I want to go over some of the prerequisite readings and some of the stuff that ties in pretty well with this omnibus. First up is the entire Batman New 52 run. This collected edition that I have here is actually a pretty rare complete set. It contains volumes 1 through 10 of the New 52 series, which was written by Scott Snyder and even co-plotted by James Tynion. What's important to note about these series is that this is where the Death in the Family storyline, the Court of Owls storyline, the Zero Year storyline, and the Endgame storyline took place. So a lot of the stuff that modern Batman fans know and love, that's going to be in this collection right here. So if you can, I would recommend picking up volumes 1 through 10 of these, or even the Omnibus, which collects the first 2 of these. If you can't find volume 3, then you're in luck, because this is a cool set to have. It's a beautiful collection. It's just a shame that volume 3 went out of print very quickly. So check out Greg Capullo, Scott Snyder, and James Tynion's run on Batman New 52 before you check out this omnibus. So Scott Snyder's Batman actually had 2 companion series that were co-plotted by James Tynion. The first of the companion series is Batman Eternal. This is kind of a celebration book that really ties in a lot of the Bat family with a lot of the Bat mythos. It was a weekly series that ran for 52 issues, collected in these 3 volumes. These should still be in print, so if you're interested in picking these up, they do tie directly into its sequel series called Batman and Robin Eternal. This is actually a direct lead-in to James Tynion's run on Detective Comics, which is collected here as Rise and Fall of the Batman. Also worth noting and checking out is Joker Endgame, which is a trade paperback that collects not just the Endgame storyline, but also the backup features written by James Tynion. And last but not least, James Tynion is actually the current writer of the Batman title, so after you're done reading this omnibus, this is his most recent work on the character. So let's take a look at the content of this book.
Okay, first and foremost, we got the dust jacket cover. This is the standard edition cover. I don't believe they came out with the direct market. I think this is the only one they have. DC Comics tends to only come out with a single cover for most of their omnibus releases, unlike Marvel, who do direct market covers. There's the title, which goes really well with the Batman, Greg Capullo, Scott Snyder omnibus. Actually, I'll do a side-by-side with that real quick. So here it is with the Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo omnibus. Looks pretty good together. Here's the back side of that dust jacket. So this collects Detective Comics 934 through 981. Detective Comics Annual 1, Batman 7 through 8, Nightwing 7 through 8, and then some stories from Robin 80th Anniversary 100-page special, and the Detective Comics 1000. The reason why Batman 7 through 8 and Nightwing 7 through 8 are collected in this omnibus is because there's a crossover story with Detective Comics called Night of the Monstermen. The crossover takes place between the first 2 main stories of this omnibus. So let's pop open the dust jacket and see what's under. Sorry for that glare. Alright, we got a cool image of Batman. Spine's pretty similar to the dust jacket. And we got just a little bit of aesthetics on the back side. I'm going to explain a little bit of the story, so I do want to give a warning on spoilers. So the first story arc is about the Bat family kind of incorporating Batwoman officially into the group. Batwoman is an ex-military professional. Her real name is Kane, and she's actually the cousin of Bruce Wayne. So in this story, we see that Kane's father, who has been a protagonist for a while, is actually starting up his own militia. And he's trying to take over Gotham City. And he sees the Bat family as a problem in his crosshairs. What's interesting about this run on Batman is it incorporates many Bat characters. So we have Batwoman, Batman, Spoiler, Tim Drake, Red Robin. We have appearances from Damian Wayne. We have appearances from Batwing. Basically anyone who's been a sidekick or a side character. Most noticeably absent is Duke Thomas. He's pretty much taken over as the primary sidekick for Batman in the Rebirth universe. Another character we have here is Orphan, who in the previous universe actually was one of the Batgirls. What's fascinating and cool about this story is it actually like blends a lot of the Bat characters' side stories together. You get to learn a lot about Orphan and Spoiler, who made their appearances in this New 52 continuity in the Batman and Robin Eternal comic book series that led up to this series. There's actually aspects of this book that tie into another book called The Oz Effect, which ran in the Superman titles. So here we have the Monster Men. Doctor Strange, not like Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange, but DC's Doctor Strange is creating monster people. That's basically the best way to describe it. Basically, they're human beings who are turned into monsters against their will. It's a little bit psychological, but it's just one of your, standard Batman beat-em-up comics. This character right here is actually from the Tom King run. Her name is Gotham Girl. She has similar superpowers to Superman. So this happens a lot with Doctor Strange. He has like a obsession with being Batman psychologically, so he's always dressing up like Batman, trying to get in his head. Kind of a weird dude. So the next story we have is called the Victim Syndicate. The story is about a group of citizens who were negatively impacted by the Bat family or by some of the rogues gallery. Basically, they're trying to create their own vigilante force to take out problems before other people are affected by all the superhuman activity. In the story, we get to see some Luke Fox, who recently, his brother Tim Fox, took over the mantle of Batman in the Future State comic book series. Clayface is actually a member of the Bat family here. He reformed, and he's actually been like a pretty solid ally with the Bat family. Back in the first story arc, Dr. Oz actually kidnapped Tim Drake. But what we see in this story is he escapes, and the way he escapes is by being freed by a future version of him. Not just a future version of him, but one from the pre-New 52 universe. A version of Tim Drake who's a little bit darker and actually takes on the mantle of Batman in that universe's future. We get some appearances by Ra's al Ghul and Anarchy, some other classic Bat villains. But ultimately, this is less about Batman and more about his supporting characters. What I really like about this series is that it actually highlights a lot of Batwoman. You don't have to read too much Batwoman beforehand to know anything about it, and it actually gets you up to speed pretty quickly on the character. There's Ra's al Ghul. It would have been pretty cool to see some Jason Todd in this. Another interesting thing about this is a lot of people know about Jason Todd and Tim Drake and Damian Wayne, but they don't know too much about the other sidekicks who aren't Robin. So we actually get to learn a lot about Batwing, Orphan, Spoiler. So the storyline that I was talking about where Tim Drake comes back, it's actually called A Lonely Place for Living, which is an allude to A Lonely Place to Dying, his first appearance in the Batman comic books. This is a cool panel, a little bit of an homage to the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns. We get an appearance by Doomsday because this ties into the Oz Effect from that Superman title. It's kind of a cool concept because we get an idea of an Elseworlds Batman, Tim Drake being a future Batman, tied in with the main continuity Batman. Also alluded to in the story is a possible future portrayal by Batwoman. So forewarning, you might want to fast forward about 10 seconds, maybe 30 seconds to be safe. The big twist about what happens with Batwoman and why everyone thinks she's going to betray him, it's because the future Tim Drake knew about her assassinating Clayface. There's a really cool annual in here as well, where it's about the origin of Clayface, and it's slightly based off of the Batman the Animated Series Clayface. So it's really cool to see some of the elements from the old 90s cartoon be incorporated into this comic book. We also get a touch on Kate and Bruce's childhood. They were cousins growing up, so we haven't really got to see too many stories about what that was like for them, so this kind of touches on it a little bit. To put further strain on the Bat family, Batwing actually does end up teaming up with Batwoman against the Bat family. And we see a little bit of stuff with Brother Eye, who is a computer system that basically monitors the globe of all metahuman activity. In the newer continuities, Brother Eye is a program created by Batman to monitor superhumans. In the old continuity, it was a Jack Kirby creation that really didn't have a whole lot to do with Batman. The last story arc of the series shows the future Tim Drake Batman become corrupted by Brother Eye. So just to zoom through the rest of it real quick, I don't want to spoil too much. I don't want to show off the entire story. I want you guys to be able to enjoy it page for page on your own. But it does have those bonus backup stories I was talking about from Batman 1000 and Robin 80 Years Special. And the last about 25 pages are alternative covers, so you just get a whole lot of cool Batman art. And just to wrap up real quick, there isn't actually a page count on the pages, but this book is well over 1,000 pages. Here's the binding eye, just in case you are curious. That's a pretty strong ribbon on it. The book reads really well. The gutter loss in the middle of the book is actually alright, but towards the end you do have to hold down some of those pages. So there you have it, the Batman Rise and Fall of the Batman Omnibus. I do have a couple things I want to bring up just in case you are interested. The 6th issue of Batwoman from the Rebirth era, it does tie into this comic book. It shows that future where she betrays the team. So this is just a one-shot kind of issue that expands on the story told in this omnibus. Also, something else I wish I brought up before I talked about this omnibus is the Batman by Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams III. This is the series that introduced Batwoman to the DC continuity. There is a new 52 run. I will get the omnibus of that when it comes out, and I will be doing a review on that too, so look forward to that in the future. So I think that wraps up this video. I want to thank you guys for watching, and if you like what you saw, please subscribe and like. Share this with people who are also interested in omnibus, and if you have any comments or requests about things you want to see in the future, please let me know. Thanks for watching again, guys. Time to jump off the omnibus.